Hello, everyone. I'm Kanisha Grayson, founder and CEO of The Art of Applying. And today we have with us Nicole Lim, and she is our in-house mindset coach and also a mindset coach in her own right. And today we're going to be talking about what is mindset coaching, who is Nicole, what is the value of mindset coaching when it relates to life in general, but especially for your application process. Hi, Nicole.
Hey, Kanisha, how's it going?
Good early morning. My first question for you is let's see where I want to start. First, let's just start with, what is a mindset coach?
Yeah, I think of mindset coaching simply as getting into the right mindset to be the best version of you as you complete your application. And that can mean a lot of different things for different people. A lot of things that we tend to talk about are stress management and time management, because the application process is very involved, and most of us have full-time lives and jobs going on. So we spend our time together trying to get into the right mindset to prepare you for making the best application.
Okay, lovely. And so you've helped us understand why a mindset coach would be helpful for applying to grad school. Let's just learn a little bit about you. Who is Nicole?
Who is Nicole? Great question. I've had a very, very diverse background. I kind of came through the normal track as I thought it was. I went to undergrad at Yale, studied psychology there, where I really started to love looking at how our mind and thoughts and behaviors interact, especially in the context of our social environment. So I studied a lot of social psychology. And then I came out and went into management consulting. I really loved media and entertainment industry and the retail industry, where I did a lot of work in Los Angeles and then a year in Sydney, Australia. I then burnt out, as sometimes people do in their 20s. Took a year off to travel around the world, and during that time I applied to business schools, and I eventually went to Wharton at the University of Pennsylvania, where I studied management and strategy. And when I came out, I went back to the West Coast. I'm originally from Hawaii, so I consider myself from the far West Coast.
Yeah.
And went to the Bay Area, worked at eBay, mostly in corporate M&A, which ironically I never took an M&A class at Wharton, just found myself in the group, and also worked in cross-border trade. I did that for about 5 years, learning about technology and e-commerce and working cross-functionally. And then I had another moment of lifeness where I had a rough breakup and decided that the plan that I had for my whole life wasn't really working. So I moved to a no plan, quit my job, and decided to go on a journey to kind of discover myself and face all my fears across a huge swath of areas in my life. That brought me to walking the 500-mile Camino de Santiago, doing 10-day silent meditation, becoming a yoga teacher, and eventually becoming a coach. I found that the journey I had was so pivotal to my life, and I wanted to help other people go on their own journeys and kind of accelerate their growth wherever they were already going to head to. I think of it as catalyzing that growth, not kind of guiding it. So yeah, that's what led me to coaching, and I found the art of applying actually as a consultant in the application accelerator. I guess funny story, meeting through a Tinder date in Mexico. I got introduced to Kanisha. The date didn't go anywhere, but now, 3 years later, here I am still working with the art of applying.
Yes. And just to make it clear, Nicole and I were not on a date, although,
to be clear,
that would be a very fun date. Yeah, it was her Tinder date introduced the two of us. So that was great. And there were some really lovely phrases that you used. You said, moments of lifeness and the no plan plan. So talk to us just a little bit more about, what is a moment of lifeness?
Yeah, I think a moment of lifeness is usually something you didn't plan for. It's oftentimes a surprise and an unpleasant one at that. And I think in the moment, it feels like your world is coming crashing down. But it's always an opportunity. And when you look back on it in the future, you realize that it's a turning point that was really important and valuable in your life. So for me, that was burning out in consulting and also a breakup. And I think those are two very typical life things that happen in your 20s and 30s. And, it's really about how you react to these moments of lifeness.
Mm-hmm.
And there's really, honestly, no wrong way to go through it. I think about the stories of our life, and whether it's a tragedy or a victory only depends on when you begin and end the story. So
Yes.
wherever you are, it's fine. You can tell your story however you want to, and maybe you're in the climax of it right now, and you're fighting the dragon. But no matter where you are, there's no wrong place.
Yes, that's beautiful. I definitely have been through some moments of lifeness for sure. For me, 2018 was just full of those moments of lifeness. I started out 2018 full of hope and excitement about the year. We had an amazing team retreat for the full-time people. And a few weeks later, my mom died right in front of me at the age of 57. And then my then husband wanted to move to New York. And I was like, that sounds cool. We moved to New York. And I think 89 days after my mom had died, he asked for a divorce. And then I think a few months later, we hit $1 million in 12-month revenue, which was a huge milestone. Then we ran into a cash crunch and had layoffs. Then I had my divorce on the 6-month anniversary of my mom's death. And I just share all that to say that, a lot of times people see my journey or watch these videos and they either only know about all the great things and all the degrees. And I just wanted to share that because I want the listeners and watchers to know that moments of lifeness happen to all of us.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And life is a roller coaster. And I think that it's the moments of lifeness that define who we are. They're the things that motivate us to make big changes, to change our mindset, even if we're not making big external changes.
Yep.
And I call it moments of lifeness because you really do feel alive. When things change from day to day, you realize that there are no guarantees in either direction. So life can change very abruptly. And we can either say, oh, I'm going to go hide in my bunker and try to avoid that, or we can kind of take it in stride and see it as an adventure. I always start my coaching sessions with a new client about my journey, because I also have on paper what looks like, the perfect resume. But I don't think that's what makes me interesting. I think what makes me interesting is having gone through a lot of the education and work experience that I have, and I highly, highly value and I feel grateful for that. But also the hard stuff, and how I ended up where I am today, which will not be where I am tomorrow. So just kind of appreciating the past, looking forward to the future, and really trying to stay in the present where life is happening.
Beautiful. So as you mentioned before, you're one of our 2 in-house mindset coaches, and every client who comes through the Application Accelerator gets 1 session when they're in incubator stage with you or the other mindset coach, and then they get 3 one-on-one sessions when they're in the accelerator stage. And when I film those testimonial client case study videos, they very often bring up how valuable the mindset coaching was to them, that they didn't know what a mindset coach was and they didn't think that they even needed mindset coaching. But then once they were in the program, they were like, whoa, this is super valuable. So I'd be curious to hear from you, what are some of the issues or challenges you help these really ambitious achievers work on in the mindset coaching sessions?
Yeah, absolutely. And to set some context of why I feel that mindset coaching is so impactful and why I do it, and why it brings so much purpose to my life, is that the Application Accelerator and doing applications in general, I think, really force you to look at yourself and to take a journey on self-discovery. And some people are very daunted by that, and most people are actually. But for me, it's like this beautiful opportunity, because where in your life do you get to do that at any point in time? Like, you're doing your job, maybe school, maybe you have relationships in your life, but to really get the chance to focus on yourself and, you know, reflect and look towards the future as well. So I think that's why it's so exciting for me, and it's so exciting for people to have mindset coaching. So yeah, that's the context. And a lot of what people come in with, they're kind of like, I don't really know. But it becomes pretty common to talk about time management, which is totally understandable. Like, people have like 120% time booked in their lives already.
Yeah.
And then you put on the application process and standardized testing and maybe, you know, I don't know what they're called now, but extension classes.
Yep.
And you're now at like 200% of time allotted. So a lot of it's about time management. I would say about half, maybe.
Okay.
And we spend a lot of time, no pun intended, looking at people's schedules and actually not trying to shove more action time in, but we try to optimize the time that's there. And oftentimes you know, I can't be like, I think this is what your schedule should look like, because I'm an expert in coaching, but the client is an expert in themselves. So you're an expert in you. So we kind of work together to understand the individual, right? Like, when do you work best in writing essays? When do you work best in doing math practice tests? And trying to structure someone's day around that. So maybe some people like to do writing after the gym. Maybe some people need to be in coffee shops with people milling around them. So we try to work with you, not with what you think you should be working like.
Okay.
So that's really a big part of anything we're doing, kind of accepting yourself and then working with that instead of judging and then being like, I should be doing something else.
Understood.
One example of that I would give is procrastination. So some people are like, I shouldn't procrastinate. And usually I'm like, there's no should here. You do procrastinate. So let's schedule that in. So if you procrastinate for 30 minutes every time you sit down to work, let's make 2-hour blocks of time, you know, not 30 minutes blocks of time, or else you're going to procrastinate the whole time.
Yeah.
So really working with yourself. I also have a lot of stress management, kind of emotion management in general, whether it's stress or anxiety about the project, or the process, sorry, or projects. Sometimes it's about work projects, relationship issues, and a lot around limiting beliefs about, I feel like I'm not good enough to get in, I don't deserve getting in, the other applicants are better than me. And really what I want to highlight is that anything you're feeling is totally okay. And I guarantee you, I've seen other people come through with the same thing. And it's kind of challenges that come up in different arenas in life, which is why coaching is so powerful. Because as you work through them here in mindset coaching, the changes and growth you make here are going to extend out to other areas of your life. So you're going to see change, not just in this particular thing around applications, but you'll see it around other areas in your life and into the future as you go into your graduate school, as you go beyond graduate school. The things and skills you learn in this process are going to go with you. So it's just really beautiful to see that.
Oh, lovely. And one thing I can imagine will likely start happening as we just graduate more and more people through the application accelerator is having alumni who are now in graduate school coming back to us being interested in mindset coaching. What are some things you feel like you could really help with in terms of mindset coaching for current grad school students?
Oh, 100%. I think mindset coaching is so helpful, well, throughout life, but definitely when you're in school or even preparing in that time period between getting in and going to school. I see the extension of the like I'm not good enough to get in, I don't deserve to get in, is the imposter syndrome of, how did I get in? This must have been an error. And how to deal with that, heading into graduate school, but also when you're in graduate school, how to kind of deal with those feelings of, I'm a fake, I don't belong here, what do I have to offer? Other big things I think in graduate school are similar around time management. This is really about prioritizing what's important. I think there's so much to eat at the buffet, and you can try everything, but ultimately you're going to want to, eat the most of what you enjoy or what you really want to get out of it. So I think that prioritization process can be overwhelming sometimes, and it can help to have a coach kind of hold the space for you. It's like almost having an emotional whiteboard, helping you to like put it all down and then work through it. Because sometimes you're so in it, you can't see like the bigger picture of what you really want.
Yes.
So yeah, and of course, all the emotion management. I think there's a lot of stress and FOMO and just interpersonal things that come up because most graduate schools are bringing together people from very different walks of life and different work and life experiences, and learning to kind of, not just manage that diversity, but I think really thrive in it is something that we can work on in coaching.
Beautiful, beautiful. I want to circle back to your no plan plan. I think that's kind of what I had September through December while I was living in Spain. What is a no plan plan? When might a no plan plan be helpful? What does that look like for you?
Yeah. So for me, probably for the first 32 years of my life, I lived on what I call the plan. And everyone has a version of what the plan is for them. Although I think generally in our society in America, I'll speak to you, there's just this idea of being on an honors track, doing all the right things, going to the best schools, getting the best jobs, and kind of constantly climbing a ladder. And I say a ladder because the reality is there are many, many ladders, and it's really important to know where you're climbing towards. It's not necessarily bad to want to progress and go on a journey, but if you don't know where you're headed and why you're headed there, that becomes a problem because you feel like you're on a hamster wheel without purpose. That is what I felt. And what will happen, which I think is a blessing, is usually these like very pivotal moments in life. Like life is rarely like this smooth linear curve up. It's usually a step function, and sometimes the growth comes after a dip. And the dip happens when, we're living out of alignment with our values, and something will break. Maybe it's a relationship, maybe you lose a job, maybe you lose a family member, maybe you're just really, really dissatisfied in life and you don't know why, because you're winning the game you set out to play, but you're not enjoying the prize because you don't feel like happiness or satisfaction. So a break usually happens, or, and I always encourage the break, actually. I think vacations are rather insidious because it allows you to kind of reset and then just continue to plod along.
Like patch up yourself, like when the boxer goes to the corner to get their wounds patched up and some water sprayed in their mouth and like go back out there. That's interesting.
Exactly. And I have a lot of friends, for example, a lot in the legal profession, I will say that, who are just at the edge, and usually, as a friend, usually in the past, I'd be like, you've got this, it's okay. But, now years go by and I'm like, it's fine. Just let yourself go over the edge, see what's on the other side. So, whether you want it or not, usually life will find you in unexpected ways in these moments of lifeness, and something breaks and there's suddenly like nothing underneath you. You lose a sense of grounding, which can be really, really scary. And even now we're feeling it on a collective level with the pandemic. There's a loss of grounding. And it is scary, like acknowledging that this doesn't feel comfortable, it's unpleasant, it's scary. But what we do with that afterwards is what really matters.
Mm-hmm.
So, for me, the no plan was about letting go of control and deciding that I didn't know where to go, but I knew staying on the same path wasn't working.
Mm-hmm.
So all I needed to do was go off the traditional path for me. And for me, and this is where I think everyone diverges. Like for me, the no plan meant moving away from the scripted life, from
Mm-hmm.
like corporate world to like I need to get married and have kids, to kind of just letting go and going straight into fears, which
Mm.
isn't something that everyone I think should do. But for me, it was what I wanted to do to give myself freedom from my fears.
Mm-hmm.
So I did all sorts of things that I was afraid of.
Yeah, tell us about them.
Yeah, some of them are like life appropriate, and some of them are video appropriate for
Yeah,
this.
whenever you want to share, it's fine. This
Yeah,
is not a children's YouTube channel.
So I mean, a lot of it, I had a lot of fears around just traveling on my own, really. I mean, I had always traveled a lot, but I felt like, I had to do it with a friend or in a group. So I just, decided to figure out how to go to the places I wanted to. I had a lot of fear actually and curiosity. So fear and curiosity are like cousins of each other.
Yes.
And I had a lot of curiosity about dating women. So I
Mm-hmm.
started to explore that. And now I'm very firmly in the queer community and have thrown events for lesbian organizations, including a big lube wrestling event that really pulled all of my MBA skills actually
Right.
to run.
No, a lube wrestling event involves so much operations and
It was so
logistics.
much operations and strategy and marketing and management. I was managing like 50 people at one point across different areas of judges and wrestlers and referees and DJs and dancers.
Yeah.
So that was, a lot of scariness. That whole like leg of the journey was very scary, but also very fulfilling. Um, I was very afraid of Burning Man and psychedelic drugs, and now I run a Burning Man camp, and I'm
Oh, I
actually
didn't know you ran a whole camp. That's amazing.
yeah. Well, this is our first year starting a new camp as well called Benevolent Elephant, but it will
Oh,
probably be
that's
canceled,
beautiful.
unfortunately. But it's a big community for me. And I'm a big proponent of kind of the testing that's going on for psychedelic drug usage and
Yeah.
treating PTSD and depression.
Yep.
I was kind of afraid of meditation. I mean, just sitting there in your head when you're going through like massive sadness is scary. So I did the 10-day silent meditation. And that was hard. Like being with yourself that many hours a day is very hard without phones, without
Mm-hmm.
books, without exercise. Like you can walk, but you can't run or do yoga. Um, yeah, and even going back to work, I went back on contract to eBay a couple of times, just going back into the traditional path.
Right. Will I get sucked in?
Yeah, will I get sucked into my workaholic ways? And yeah, it's been a journey. I recently completed a manuscript about the last 5 years, a memoir. So I'm in the yeah, it's called The No Plan actually.
That's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm in the process of getting that kind of proofread and line edited, and then this year's project is to explore traditional publishing and self-publishing in parallel.
That is amazing.
Yeah,
that is amazing. Well, I definitely did the self-publishing route. Those are my book right there behind me.
Nice.
Yeah, from my dating coaching days.
Awesome.
But yeah, so that's super cool. I would love to hear more about that journey as you go through it. That is so cool. And a great title.
Yeah, it's the No Plan. And so I guess what that means to each individual is different. And what I encourage for people's no plan is to, let go. That's kind of the universal concept. And just trust that the universe or whatever higher power you believe in, or just destiny or chance or whatever you want to think of, will take you to where you need to. And it's not like there's only one path. So you don't need to worry that, am I doing this wrong? Because at the end of the day, it's not the things that happen, it's how you process it and then move forward from it. So I think that's, the big part of the no plan is just trusting the universe or your higher power, and really at the end of the day, trusting yourself that you're going to either, succeed in the way you think you will, or you'll learn from it. And there was this awesome napkin I found on the Camino de Santiago at this like really hole in the wall, like bar restaurante. And it said, a veces se gana y a veces se aprende, which means sometimes you win and sometimes you learn.
That's right.
So you either get what you want or you learn from it. So there's really no way to lose.
Beautiful. And I think that's a perfect place for us to wrap up this amazing video and interview. And just thank you so much for sharing with us about your insights and experiences. And for those of you who are listening and watching, if you're interested in having some mindset coaching with our team, we would love to invite you to book a session. All of our Application Accelerator clients, it's already included once you're in the program. And as long as we have availability, then you can also book a la carte mindset coaching sessions as well, and get yourself on either a no plan or get some help moving through a moment of lifeness, letting go, burning out, burning in, whatever. We're here to help.
Exactly.
All right. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Nicole.
Awesome. Thanks, Kanisha.
Thanks for watching our video. For more videos just like this, make sure you click subscribe. And if you want to work with us on your graduate school applications, visit us at theartofapplying.com or click on the link below in the description.